This is the Ridstar Q20, and it's one of the cheapest e-bikes that you can get off of Amazon that goes 30 miles an hour. Now, this thing looks a lot like a motorcycle. It's got a motorcycle headlight and taillight. It's got motorcycle brakes. It's even got a keyed ignition just like a motorcycle does. And this thing also has pedals just like a bicycle. But I think if you're buying this thing to pedal, it's like buying a boat with an engine on it and then rowing it. It just doesn't make sense. Maybe as a backup it's cool, but just for this, I don't think you're gonna be pedaling this a whole lot. And you get all this for a list price of about $900. Now, at this point, you might be asking, what the heck is a Ridstar? And to be honest with you, I don't really know either. I think it's probably just a case of lost in translation, like the guy who gets the Chinese symbol tattooed on him and he thinks it's some deep, meaningful thing, but in reality, it's just gibberish.
From what I could find about this company, they're based in China, and they have these bikes in a US warehouse for faster shipping. Anyways, silly name aside, there's no denying that this is a cool looking e-bike. It's like a motorcycle and a mini bike had an electric baby. There's the retro headlight, the long seat, the fat off-road tires. It even has this thing, whatever this is.
I do like the styling on this thing. I think it looks very cool, which is a good and a bad thing.
It's good when a bro gives you a thumbs up and says, "Nice bike, man." And it's bad when a Karen says, "Why the fuck are you riding a motorcycle on the bike trail?" Luckily with the Ridstar Q20, the looks match the performance. It comes with a powerful 1000-watt hub motor and a 48-volt, 20-amp-hour battery. And that means over 25 miles of range even at full throttle.
So even though this thing is pretty powerful, don't expect to do any crazy wheelies on this thing. It's a powerful bike, but it's not a wheelie machine necessarily.
Now, the off-road capabilities on the Ridstar are actually impressive. It handles light trails and grass with ease, and the knobby tires definitely help with that. The suspension, on the other hand, is nothing to write home about. Now look, it's much better than having a hardtail, but honestly, on anything but the biggest of bumps, the shock might as well be a hardtail in the rear. The front has more travel and is a bit softer, but it seems to bottom out even on small bumps. So if you do keep this bike long term, I would definitely look into upgrading the suspension. Luckily, this bike's brakes are just as impressive as its top speed. It has big hydraulic brakes with 180mm rotors. They're unbranded and they do look like some sort of small motorcycle or scooter brakes. The levers are big and robust and they come with a big reservoir. And they're red.
Now let's talk about the big elephant in the room here. This thing technically is a bicycle. I mean, look, it's got pedals right here. Can you actually use it as a bike? Can you actually pedal it? Well, I mean, you could. It's got a 7-speed Shimano transmission and that's all well and good, but this thing is more of a motorcycle and it's just too much fun to pull the throttle.
I think that pedaling this thing is sort of like playing the piano with chopsticks. Yeah, you can do it, but you look kind of ridiculous. It is nice to have the option to burn some calories with this thing. Just know that if you do decide to pedal this thing, it might be a little bit awkward, especially if you're taller. I'm 5'9" and it's a little bit uncomfortable for me. I can't imagine if you were 6 foot or over that it would be very comfortable. Overall, I'd say stick to the throttle, and if a cop's looking at you funny in the bike lane, then maybe look like you're trying to pedal. Other nice to haves are the built-in headlight and taillight, which doubles as a brake light for extra safety. The keyed ignition makes it a little bit harder to steal. The fenders are good quality and plastic, so you aren't going crazy listening to gravel plink against metal fenders. Assembly is straightforward for someone who isn't a bike mechanic. Even though I had to adjust the front brake caliper a little bit, it was pretty straightforward. They also do have videos on how to assemble this thing on the Amazon listing if you do run into trouble though. The included charger is 3 amps, so the battery will charge a little bit faster. A lot of cheaper e-bikes use a 2 amp charger, so it is nice that they throw in a 3 amp one even at this affordable price point. So there are some things that I do worry about. For example, the battery is generic and honestly I think that's fine, but I do keep an eye on it when it's charging. Now for this price, I wouldn't expect to see Samsung or LG cells, although it would be nice. They need to cut costs somewhere, and on this bike, the battery is one place that they cut costs. I've never had any issues with it, and maybe the battery won't last as long as a Samsung or an LG battery would, but I wouldn't let that scare you away. Also, everything is unbranded / unknown brands, and even though the bike feels solid and stable and well built, who knows about longevity. Another thing is the support from Ridstar. Now, I haven't had any bad experiences in my case, But if you do order off Amazon, at least you have some protection and some accountability. But long term, who knows if they'll be in business years from now and if you'll have support for this bike. Personally, I wouldn't let any of that stop me because this bike is just so much fun. Whether you use this bike to commute, for fun, or for both, I think you'll really enjoy it, and don't let the entry-level price point or the unknown brand stop you.
I think it is worth it to take a risk on this relatively unknown brand because there is so much fun to be had here, and this is such a good value bike. So if you do want to check this bike out, I have a link in the description of the best price on Amazon right now. Down in the description, I also have a playlist of all the other videos I have with this bike in case you're still on the fence or you want to know more. You can go ahead and check those out. And I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.